Governor Janet Mills gets involved in talks to find any common ground when it comes to guns in Maine. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Ucono.
And I'm Amanda Hill. Last night at this time, we told you how the legislature was considering 8 bills having to do with gun restrictions, some to tighten them, others to loosen them. Tonight comes word of high-level discussions working to come to some sort of consensus.
One thing is very clear. Gun ownership in Maine is high. A survey by the Rand Corporation just 3 years ago showed that nearly half of all adults said they had at least one gun in their home, whether it be for defense, for hunting, or for recreation. So is Maine ready for any kind of gun law reform? News
Center Maine's Jack Molman is at the State House with more on where the gun debate stands right now. Jack?
Amanda and Brian, one of the people in that meeting with the governor's staffers was David Trahan. Now, he is the executive director of the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine. Now, back in 2019, he and the governor worked together to put what's called the yellow flag law, which could take away your guns if you do fail a mental health examination. Now, today's meeting was to see if they could find any common ground again during this year's legislative session. Before the legislature's session started on Tuesday, there was a closed-door meeting in Governor Mills' office. Also in there, Public Safety Commissioner Michael Soschuk and the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine. The goal, to find out what the legislature can do this year about gun safety.
That issue's been in front of the Maine people. What I said to the governor, to the Speaker's office, is there's plenty of time for us to have debates about the more controversial policies.
That's David Trahan, head of the Sportsmen's Alliance, in an interview before that closed-door meeting. Sam is a big advocate for the Second Amendment, and Trahan says Maine needs to stay away from any bills that he says would restrict more gun ownership, such as universal background checks, a bill proposed by the Speaker of the House.
Right now, we're talking about a bill that maybe all of us can support. There's time for both debates, but if you mix in the more controversial, then it's unlikely that anything will pass. So I've asked the Speaker, the Governor, and others to separate the two, let us all work together, and they got plenty of time to come back with the other policies.
We do not know what kind of bills were proposed by the governor's office or what kind of progress was made, but we do know that gun violence in this country is rising, as we saw here in Maine just last month in Bowdoin and Yarmouth.
It's not surprising that now you see there's some action happening where people are trying to figure out we need to do something about guns, whether it's using guns to protect ourselves or regulating guns so that we do not have any more of these.
Roque also researches mass shootings across the country, and he says there is evidence that laws such as universal background checks and red flag laws can reduce gun violence. He says while Maine does have a low crime rate, gun ownership is high.
I would say that we're very lucky, right? We are not immune to any type of mass shooting. There's nothing in terms of the research that we have done about why mass shootings happen that would point to Maine as being, a safe state. And again, just to remind you watching at home, those sessions that were held at the governor's office earlier today were closed to the public. And that interview you saw with David Trahan from the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine, that was shot yesterday before these sessions took place. And that's part of a bigger interview that will air coming up later this week on 207. Now, as for what bills or bill would come from the governor's office, that remains to be seen. Brian, Amanda.
Jack Molman in Augusta for us tonight. Jack, thank you.